Hi everyone, I hope you are doing well. So today I actually wanted to make a little video on where the feminine energy in the twin flame dynamic and on the twin flame journey really needs to focus. And the reason for that is because as you do the inner work and you ascend on this journey, you will magnetize the masculine energy in towards you over and over again. However, if you do not know what to do, if you're not aware of this, interaction that you will see, you can really become ungrounded and unstable. And that can take a lot longer for you, causing you delays towards union. So, this video is kind of dedicated to talking about what you need to kind of keep in mind so that you can remain steadfast on your journey. Now, you will hear a lot of feminines on the twin flame journey, and I really mean the feminine energy, which is the chaser, regardless of the gender on this journey. Now, they will often say, I am tired of the masculine energy triggering me. I am tired of them coming in and out of this connection. Either, they want to come in for union or not. They should really stop testing me. So, what you really want to take a look at when you feel this way, first off, is this may happen to you once, it might happen to you twice, it might happen to you 3 times, but sooner or later you will recognize a pattern. And really what you need to be doing as the feminine energy in this dynamic is taking your power back, bringing it home to yourself. This pattern of, them coming in and out is natural as you try and make progress on this journey. And again, when I say progress, this means you are doing the inner work, and that is why you're seeing this. Otherwise, this looping will just happen for years on end, and there's really no end to it. But if you are ascending on this journey and the masculine energy is coming in and out, that's actually a great sign. However, each time you give in to this, feeling and dropping into this victim mentality or thinking that they are doing this to you is where we go wrong on this journey. So you really want to take a look at what's happening, understand that they're just following the natural process, what they're designed to do, and you really have your own power, and you need to kind of remain and stay in that part, in that power, regardless of what the outside 3D world looks like and reflects back to you. Now, you have to remember that this is a journey of self-mastery. And really, we got these titles, divine feminine, divine masculine, because they are not talking about our current state. It is our potential of what we become on this hero's journey. When we actually complete this journey, it's talking about the divine consciousness that we actually begin to embody, but that is dependent on our ascension. So just remember that, we use these terms very lightly, divine masculine, divine feminine, but those aren't talking about our current state. This is the future state once we actually do the work. And so until you become and do the work and acquire that state of consciousness, you're not quite there yet. So we need to see what we can do and the feminine energy to stay in control so that you can actually make the progress that you need to, and really not place the blame on the masculine energy, because they're just doing naturally what they're meant to do. Now, I really want you to think about the twin flame journey as, being the feminine energy in this connection that is doing the inner work and really climbing that ladder of consciousness, which requires you to make progress slow and steady. And, each time that you are trying to climb this ladder, you really don't know what the next level really looks like. You can eventually see some changes in your own growth, in your own personal growth, self-growth, and what's, reflecting back to you in the 3D, but you really don't know what the next state really looks like. All you know is that you are meant to keep on climbing up, regardless of how hard or tough this journey looks, because going back down is definitely not an option. This is a ladder of consciousness where you must climb up. Now, think about if somebody actually came while you were making this very tough journey all by yourself, which is very lonely because it's just a ladder for one person. You're doing this all alone. Now imagine that the masculine energy comes in and distracts you. They are yelling at you, they are screaming at you, and they're really just doing whatever they can to try and get your attention. Now, in this moment, you can have one of two reactions. The first is you can actually look at them, get distracted, get knocked off your ladder, probably a couple steps down, which took you so long to really climb. And, take on that victim mentality, go into that lower vibration, lack of self-worth. This ladder is too long. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how long this journey is going to take. This is useless. And all of that progress you made was just, lost because this individual came in, got your attention, and you were willing to give up your journey because of that. Now, the second reaction you could have is take a look at the person, acknowledge the person, recognize that they come and go as they please, and you can't really control that. All you can control is really holding on to your ladder steadily and making that progress and continuing to move upward. And really, that power is within you. They can yell, they can scream, but you will continue to move on your journey, moving inward and upward on this ladder. And they really have no control on your progress. And, regardless of who it is, the masculine energy or anybody else, it could be lessons that come along the way. You know that you've just got to stay with the faith and keep moving upward. Now, seeing that and recognizing that this may happen to you, you may have a very different reaction to this ladder of consciousness. Knowing that, each time somebody comes to distract you, if you don't hold on to that ladder tight enough, you could lose your spot. And you would have a very different reaction with this preparation. And really, on this ladder of consciousness, that's where you really want to be. Because this masculine energy is going to come again and again, trying to knock you off your ladder, but you need to remain consistent with your progress. You need to stay consistent with your effort and keep climbing that ladder. If you have that mindset, it won't matter how many times they come in. You will know that you still have a journey because clearly there's something up above that ladder that you haven't reached yet. It is not your final destination and you have to keep going. So with that being said, you will naturally keep going. And that is kind of the attitude and mindset you want to have on this journey. So that regardless of what's happening on the outside, you know that you are not willing to go down into those lower, vibrations because you've worked so hard to get where you are. And the only way to come out on top is to keep going and not end this journey, this hero's journey, until you've reached that top of that ladder. Now remember that regardless of the experience on this journey, the question you want to always ask yourself is this experience helping me or hindering me? And based on the response to that, you will know whether you need to engage with that experience further or cut it off, depending on the impact that it's having on your journey. Now, the same thing goes for when the masculine energy comes in. If you haven't reached unity consciousness, you know not to be fooled by the fact that it's time for union. So you can really step away from that sort of a feeling and really go back to understanding that as long as you haven't experienced that, what you are experiencing in the 3D is just separation consciousness, being stuck in the ego, being stuck in the mind. And so you really want to step away from that. The stronger you make your own mindset, the easier it will become, regardless of the experience on this journey. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope this was helpful. God bless.